Well, it's Wednesday, and you all know what that means. As you know, we continue with more of the best of the Super Juniors by New Japan Pro Wrestling. So we are now in day 8, where it's only a matter of time until we get to Dominion to find out who will be winning this entire tournament. We're going to see who's going to be leading in their blocks, but however, there was a certain sudden change in the tournament that will lead to one of their competitors to be out due to an injury. And then, of course, we move on with AEW Dynamite. This is their go home show before this coming Sunday's Double or Nothing. Anything could happen before then. We do know that the Elite have a target on the back of Bryan Danielson and the rest of Team AEW. But things are going to get crazy from here on out. And then, of course, we cap it up with some news updates to give you guys updates what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, and of course some developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling. Amongst them, as you may have heard, we have of course a brand new promotion. MARIGOLD has launched. However, certain members of the roster took offense to one particular person who is calling herself, who's going to be the ace and savior of MARIGOLD, and we'll get to that as well. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Lead It Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to the Lead It Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also do more news updates. If I'm unable to put it on this episode, I can put it on a separate video by itself. We also do more news updates on alert to everybody what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, and I will address it ASAP. And of course, the Unagi Sayaka and various other cool things as well. So, if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment into the description down below. Now, all introductions I've set aside, I think it's time to get the show on the road. So let's begin with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Alright, we are now in day 8 of the New Japan Pro Wrestling's Best of the Super Juniors. Now, before we proceed on, it was later announced that Francisco Akira, due to an injury he sustained during the tournament in the last 2 events that they had, it was announced that Francisco Akira had to withdraw from the tournament. So whatever remaining matches he had in the tournament, everybody else will get their 2 points by forfeit. So amongst them, apparently he was supposed to have Hiromu Takahashi in this match, but Hiromu gets, of course, his 2 points. So that's pretty much what happened. And I think he's in the B block. Oh, let me look it up. Yep, he was in the B block. So everybody in the B block, whoever hasn't had his match with him, he's in it. So yes. So let's move on with our very first match, and starting with the A block, we have Kosta Fujita versus Titan. Now, Titan is one of those wrestlers we got to pay attention to due to the fact he's a phenomenal wrestler. He has never won any IWGP championships just yet. We know he has challenged for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles with Bushi, but however, that's not the case. So he has to go with Kosa Fujita. Now, Kosa Fujita has been very impressive, but however, he hasn't managed to advance even further into the tournament. But it was Titan with the Llave Immortal that put away Fujita, giving him his next 2 points, giving him the total of 10. So basically, I will say he is currently in the lead in the A block. Now let's move on with the B block. We have Dragon Dia versus Robbie Eagles. Now, Dragon Dia, I could say that he probably will not advance even further in the whole thing because he, since day one of the tournament, he's been winless. But Robbie Eagles, of course, he's been very phenomenal. But I had a feeling this match was definitely going to end with Robbie Eagles when he applied the Ron Miller special, forcing Dragon Dia the tap out, leaving him, of course, with 8 points and, of course, 0 for Dragon Dia. Now, our next match, we have two guys that actually know each other too well. This is back in the A block, Yoshinobu Kanemaru and Bushi. Now, of course, Kanemaru will do whatever it takes to win because he's part of those rejects, the House of Torture. He will probably figure out a way to do that. Now, of course, when there's moments when the ref goes out, that's when Kanemaru tries to lash out. He even tried to use the bottle of whiskey, but luckily, of course, Bushi took care of him when he spit the black mist into his face. Then the MX, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Bushi gets his next 2 points. Now he has a total of 6. And as for Kanemaru, he still remains with 4. Now back to B block, we have Drilla Maloney versus Kushida. Now, of course, you know, this is going to be a very interesting match. Now, Kushida, of course, this is one of those moments where he has to put up his game face. But Drilla Maloney has to catch up to Kushida because he is 2 points away from tying up with him. And, of course, Drilla Maloney will use his killer instincts to pick up the win. And that's exactly what he was doing since the entirety of this match. And then he applied to Drilla Maloney just like that. His 2 points, he has 8 points along with Kushida. So we'll see where this leads us from him. Now back to A block. We have Kevin Knight versus Hayata. Now, as much as we can say this, Hayata is a fantastic wrestler. Of course, we do have seen Kevin Knight. He is very athletic, one of those wrestlers we always pay attention to what he can do. But, however, Hayata was able to pick up the win when he applied the 403 impact, which is like DDT, and just like that, he picked up his next 2 points, moving up to 8 points. As for Kevin Knight, he still remains in 6. Now back to B block, we have Ninja Mac versus Taiji Ishimori. Now, as much as talented we know Taiji Ishimori is, Ninja Mac is, and very special, Taiji Ishimori is determined to make it all the way through to make it to the finals, and that's exactly what he's doing. He did apply the Bloody Cross, hoping that maybe this would have been the final touch in order to put away Ninja Mac, but nope, he applied the Bloody Cross and the crossbone. Yeah, he tried the crossbones, and then later now the Bloody Cross. That finished the deal for him to give him his 8 points, and of course Ninja Mac remains with 4. Now our next match, we have, of course, A block, Clark Connors versus Desperado. Now, this is one of those brutal matches because Clark Connors, he's a beast. He is determined to walk away as possible to get to the top, and that's exactly what he was doing. However, he completely could not. He thought he had Desperado right where he wanted him, but of course he did not. And then Desperado, out of trying to show him, you can't kill me, bitch, that sort of gave him the bird. And then Clark Connors completely lost control of himself. Referee tried to give him the warning. He ignored it first. Second time, he ignored it again, resulting of him to be disqualified, giving Desperado the win. However, that did not end well for Clark Connors because he continued to attack everybody to try to stop him from hurting Desperado. But in this case, of course, uh, he took off his mask and brutalized him. But I'm sure Despy will get his revenge on him. But in the point system, of course, Clark Connor ends up with 8 points, and as for Despy, 10. So I'm sure, I don't know if this will help him move forward, but we'll see. Now, our next match we have, of course, we have back to the A block, since we know that the match we were supposed to have with Francisco Karen Hermu was not taking place. We have TJP versus Blake Christian. Now, this is a very interesting development. Don't forget, Blake Christian already lost 2 matches. I don't think he could afford to lose a third, but TJP was barely holding on as possible in this tournament. So you would think that TJP will find a way to overcome this one, but as for Blake Christian, clever that he is, you would have thought the same thing too. But it was, of course, TJP with the Black Mamba giving him his 6 points, while Blake Christian remained at 8. He hasn't been able to advance since losing to Desperado. So we'll see what that leads us from there now. Now, our main event, we have Doiki versus Sho. Now, these two guys, we have seen them recently come across each other, where, of course, Doiki was unable to obtain the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. Of course, Sho was going to cut corners on this one. Not to mention, the one thing that was funny is that Sho thought he knew, but Doiki wasn't going to fall for his traps. He's too he's too smart to notice. So he tried to deal with it the right way. But however, at wherever he goes, Yujiro was going to be there to help out, and that's exactly what it did. But Taichi, who was in fact at commentary, decided to help, knowing that this is unfair for Doiki to lose an opportunity for this. But of course, Sho had a backup plan, and if you guys notice, he was kicking Sho with the striking, and then he was hurting himself, and then of course Sho picked up the win, just like that. And he had something in his boot, in his shin guards, and he walked away with the win. And he's a real scumbag, to be honest with you guys. He thinks he's the best. He wants to win the IWGP Junior Heavyweight, the best of the Super Juniors, because I don't think he wants to challenge anybody. But sooner or later, someone has to. If I was a betting man, there has to be the ones who I would think. I would say Despy's one. I would say, of course, Titan is one. Doiki, well, I don't know if he'll be able to make it. I mean, they're both tied in 6, but we will see. But sooner or later, Sho has to lose the belt before we head to Wrestle Kingdom, because he wants to claim he's the best. But no, he's nothing but a pure scumbag. So I think that's pretty much it right now with New Japan Pro Wrestling. I believe it's time to move on with AEW Dynamite. Okay, AEW Dynamite, this is their go-home show before we head to Double or Nothing this coming Sunday. It opened up with tag team action. Orange Cassidy and Will Ospreay, ironically who were these two guys a few years ago, were opponents, and now they're teaming. They face against their opponents at Double or Nothing, Trent Beretta and Roderick Strong. But of course, Roderick Strong had his group of flunkies to be involved, and that is, of course, Mike Bennett and Matt Taven. Now, you would think that this would have been the simpler way for him to win, but of course he had a backup plan. However, Don Callis was able to help Orange Cassidy because he did not want to see him lose. But unfortunately, things did not go according to plan. Wardlow showed up and took out Will Ospreay, and then of course later we saw that there was the end of Heartache by Roderick Strong when he pinned Will Ospreay, and just like that, and then post-match, they left Will Ospreay bleeding out, informing him that he is not walking out of Double or Nothing as the International Champion. Don't count your chickens just yet, Roderick Strong. You may have your pair of flunkies, but someone is going to screw up. Now, the Elite, as you know, are trying desperately to ensure that things will go exactly their way at Anarchy in the Arena this coming Sunday. So they told the security that but Darby Allin has been banned, and of course, Sanjay Dutt decided to offer his services to help the Elite to take out Bryan Danielson before Double or Nothing. Now, I'd like to say, Sanjay Dutt is nothing but a dickwad. Now, we do see the Bang Bang Gang doing a promo in the ring talking about Pac. Now, Pac had no intentions to deal with the Bang Gang, but of course, they're trying to get the attention, but apparently they forced his hand, and that's when the Death Triangle came back. Penta and of course Rey Fenix were back, and then of course Pac called a shot that at Double or Nothing for the Unified World Trios Championship. So that's gonna be fun to watch. Now, before we head to our FTR three-way, the FTW three-way match, we have Hook. Well, Jericho along with Big Bill made their way to the commentary section, and of course, Taz had to hold his composure. But here's what happened: it was Hook versus Brian Keith versus Katsuyori Shibata. Now, you probably would have assumed that someone had to walk out as the winner, but we had a similar situation like what we had at NXT. Hook and Katsuyori Shibata put a double submission on Brian Keith. Poor Keith. You know, Hook actually applied the red rum while Shibata with the leg drop, with the leg lock, he tapped out on both, and just like that, it kind of ended. But the real question is, people were saying let them fight, like they want to see a winner, but Jericho decided he wants to take them both. So I don't know if that was a smart idea, but Jericho probably is confident enough that he would walk out as the winner of this match. So we'll see where that heads from there. Now, our next match, we have Konosuke Takeshita to take on Matt Sydal. Well, this match, you probably can guess that this ended with Takeshita finishing up Matt Sydal with the forearm into the face, winning the match. However, right in the post-match, Jon Moxley made his way to the ring. He had a few words to say to Takeshita, but at first he knocked his butt off, laying down like a dead duck. And then, of course, Moxley tells him, "I will see you at Double or Nothing." So, a man, a few words. Now, the Bucks, as you know, in the backstage continues to tell everybody have they seen Darby Allin. However, by the time they got to their little comfort zone, they saw Swerve Strickland say, "What's up, turds?" So they kind of, and ask him, "Have you seen him?" "Nope, I haven't seen him." "So hit my music." So he went into the ring to take on Nick Wayne. Now, we did not see Blake Christian or Mama Wayne or Killswitch. Nick Wayne made it clear that he wanted to do things on his own, but I would say it was up to Novell on his part, because it was Swerve Strickland when his house called, put him away. And then, of course, post-match, Killswitch showed up to take out, of course, Swerve. But, of course, Christian and Shayna went to check up on, of course, on Nick Wayne. And then, of course, while Luchasaurus was on, like, right on top of him trying to choke him out, he got low blowed. And then Christian Cage realized that he was in the line of fire. He ran away. But before anything else, Swerve was in fact also chasing him, but he gave another house call to Killswitch just for good measure. But of course, cameras followed Christian to all the way to the parking lot. He actually stole the car, thinking he can get away, but he was blocked off with the return of Nana. And then, of course, Swerve got his hands on him and then beat him up into the top of a car. He almost about to take him out with a double concerto. Then he ran to the hills. So basically, we're probably happy to see Nana is back, helping out Swerve once again. Now, our next match, we have Malachi Black versus Kyle O'Reilly. I have to say this was a killer match because they have similar wrestling styles, or should I say, they have like that striking capability, martial arts status type that you probably would enjoy. And it was pretty good. But however, it was, of course, Malachi Black with the end, allowing him to pick up the win. However, something was happening at the post-match. Lights were turning red, and then when lights turned back on, Blood started spilling all over Malachi Black, and then of course Adam Copeland showed up. Hey Malachi, be careful what you wish for. So he had a little grin on his face, smiled at, laughed at him, and then he told him he'll see him soon. So you got to ask yourself, was this wise for Malachi Black to try to push him to this? Well, we'll see what happens at Double or Nothing. Our next match, we have Mariah May versus Toni Storm, taking out the Outcasts, Harley Cameron and Sareee. Now, we know that the Outcasts have initially targeted Mariah May and Toni Storm recently. Things kind of got a little interesting along the way. And then, of course, there was a moment where both women kissed both Sareee and Harley Cameron, allowing for Toni Storm to do the Storm Zero on Harley Cameron to pick up the win. But during the post-match, once again, with, of course, Toni Storm tried to mock Serena Deeb with her flag. Serena Deeb showed up, takes out Luther with the chair. Same thing with Mariah May. And then she took out, of course, whacking Toni Storm with her shoe, and then applying the Serenity Lock while she's sitting on top of her with the chair, sending a direct message. But however, was this wise for Toni Storm? Will Toni Storm be fine with the pain she went? Well, we'll just see what happens when we get at Double or Nothing. Now, the Bang Bang Gang, as you know, they thought that they had this planned out. Like, I think they wanted this thing with the Death Triangle, but we'll see what happens until then. Now, our main event, we have Bryan Danielson versus Satnam Singh. Now, remember, Sanjay Dutt has knows there's a bounty on Bryan Danielson, but of course, when we saw the dickwads being there. Now, remember, guys, I like to call Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, Karen Jarrett the dickwads because they like to get involved in other people's business. Well, Bryan Danielson applied the Busaiku knees, the strike kicks. Nothing would have worked. He had Satnam Singh in, of course, the lapel lock, but however, the dickwads got involved again, and Bryan Danielson tried to fight back. Nothing worked. And as soon as they were trying to hurt him some more, here comes the Elite, giving the money to Sanjay Dutt and the rest of the dickwads. Then the Elite tried to take him out, but however, Kazuchika Okada and, of course, Jack Perry showed up to make sure they take him out completely. They even took him to the top of the stage where there was a table waiting for him. However, a car pulled up, and out of nowhere, Darby Allin showed up, and the person that was there with him is none other than the boss himself, Tony Khan, and leaving to assumption that Tony Khan lifted the ban on Darby Allin, leaving the Elite pissed off, realizing that things are not going their way. But however, Darby Allin showed up with a flamethrower, sending a direct message to the Elite. And just like that, it was completely crazy. Bryan Danielson put Nick through the table, ending the whole show like that, sending them that we're not backing down. And of course, they're not happy how things did not go exactly their way. So the obvious question is, should the Elite be concerned that things are not going to go their way? Well, we'll see what happens on Sunday. So I think that's pretty much it right now with with AEW Dynamite. It's time for some news updates. Alrighty, welcome to our news updates. So, let's begin with the updates with the promotions, starting with GCW. Now, as you know, this coming Saturday, we have the Chicago show, Take a Picture. Matt Cardona, who's been serving as general manager, announced that there's going to be a major announcement regarding the future of GCW. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if he's trying to turn GCW into WWE. This will lead to certain wrestlers to protest, but we'll find out. And then the following day at Paranoid in Columbus, Ohio, they announced Micro Man taking on Jeffrey John. And then, of course, the LA show. As you know, I did mention Sidney Akeem, formerly known as Reggie and Scripps, will be making his debut on Hit 'em Up in the LA show on the 14th of June. It was announced that he will be in action to take on Jack Cartwheel. And then, of course, on the 29th of June in Dallas, Texas, for Crime Wave, Ali Catch will be in action to take on Dulce Tormenta. And then finally, for the Believe Me show on the 18th of July in Louisville, Kentucky, they announced that Jordan Oliver will be there, Too Tough Tony makes his return, and the debut of Rachel Armstrong. Now, Stardom, as you know, this coming weekend and Tuesday have several shows that have been announced. Now, here's the match card involved for the 25th, this Saturday. We have Mina Shirakawa, Mike of EXV teaming up with Starlight Kid for the first time. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to recruit her, but they will be teaming up to face off stars consisting of Mayu Iwatani, Azuki, and Momo Kogo. Then we have, of course, Queen's Quest to take on Queen's Quest consisting of Saya Kamitani, Azumi, and Miyu Amasaki to take on Natsuko Tora, Momo Watanabe, and Tekla of Oedo Tai. Then, of course, we have Cosmic Angel members Sareee Inui, Tam Nakano, and Aya Sakura teaming up. They take on God's Eyes Konami, Ami Suri, and Rana Yagami. And then, of course, we have a three-way tag match. We have Crazy Star consisting of Suzuki Meisira versus God's Eye Shuri Saki Kashima, and Cosmic Angels Natsupoi and Yuna Mizumori. Then we have, of course, EXV's Xena, Waka, and Hanako. They take on the other members of Stars, Hanan, Koguma, and Saya Ada. Now, this match is probably will play an important role due to the fact that Waka and Hanako are determined to win the New Blood Tag Team titles against Saya Ada and Hanan. But hopefully this match will give them that opportunity, but we will see what happens. And then finally we have Sayaka Kurara will take on Lady C. And then the following day, on the 26th, on Sunday, we have Queen's Quest Saya Kamitani and Miyu Amasaki taking on Oedo Tai's Natsuko Tora and Momo Watanabe. Then we have a Queen's Quest EXV members Maika, Xena, and Waka Tsukiyama taking on Cosmic Angels Sareee Inui, Natsupoi, and Yuna Mizumori. And then, of course, they have star members Mayu Iwatani, Azuki, and Koguma. Then we have a three-way match, Saya Ada versus Mei Sita versus Saki Kashima. Then we have, of course, Mina Shirakawa teaming up with Starlight Kid, taking on, of course, star members Hanan and Momo Kogo from Stars, and Cosmic Angels Tam Nakano and Sayaka Kurara. Now, as I said before, I wouldn't be surprised if Mina Shirakawa tries to convince Starlight Kid to join EXV. And then, of course, we have Suzuki, Azumi, and Lady C. They team on to take on God's Eye, Meishida, Amisuri, Rana Yagami. Then we have Aya Sakura taking on Tekla. And then, of course, we have Konami versus Hanako. And then we have the Tuesday show on the 28th of May. We have Maika, Mina, Xena, and Hanako, all four members of EXV. They take on Oedo Tai's Natsuko Tora, Tekla, Momo Watanabe, and Fukigen Dev. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if this is a prelude to will allow, of course, for the Artist Belt Championship match somewhere down the line. Then, of course, we have Crazy Star consisting of Suzuki Mei Sita versus Hanan and Saya Ida. And then, of course, we have Cosmic Angel members Sareee Inui, Tam Nakano, Natsupoi, and Yuna Mizumori taking on Queen's Quest, Saya Kamitani, Azumi, Lady C, and Miyu Amasaki. Then we have star members Mayu Iwatani, Azuki, Momokogo versus God's Eye members Amisuri and Saki Kashima, and they team up with Starlight Kid. Now, this is the first time in quite a while where Starlight Kid teams up with Saki Kashima. Don't forget, these two members used to be former members of Oedo Tai. Then we have a three-way match between Koguma, Waka Tsukiyama, and Rana Yagami. Then we have God's Eye members Shuri and Konami taking on Cosmic Angel rookies Sayaka Kurata and Aya Sakura. Now, as you know, I messed up on the last episode about the MARIGOLD Sunday event. I finally got it, so this is what's going to happen at Sukeban for that day on Sunday. We have Mirai and Mai Sakurai teaming up. They take on Sareee and Nozaki and Nagisa Nozaki. Then we have Victoria Suzuki taking on Utami Ayashida versus Nanane Takahashi and Bozilla. Then we have Natsumi Shozuki and Miku Anoe taking on Matsui and Chiaki. Then we have Saya Ida versus Mila Grace. And then finally, Koki Amari versus Nao Ishikawa. So that's pretty much what we have for those cards. Now we keep moving forward. We do have the House of Glory War Within on the 24th of May. AJ Francis will be making his presence known, but he will have backup with him. Then, of course, Sukeban returns. They'll be heading to LA on the 30th of May. It was announced that Sareee Bomb will be in action to take on Mayu Mazushi, which is going to be fun. And then finally, next month in June 5th, Colors and Sparks will have a collaboration. It was announced that the SPARK Joshi World Title will be defended. Starlight Kid defends the belt against the Terror in the ring, Momoka Hanazono. This is going to be a fun one. I hope Starlight Kid is prepared for her. And then finally, we have the collaboration between three promotions: West Coast Pro, Deadlock Pro Wrestling, and Prestige for the Untouchable show on July 20th. They announced Alex Shelley will be there, and so is Shelton Benjamin. Now let's get to our developments. We do have Rian will be out of action due to poor health. Hopefully she'll be back soon to, of course, to be better. And then, of course, it was later revealed during a podcast that Cody Rhodes is still visiting the Nightmare Factory once a week, even though he is still the champion. This was confirmed by Bodie Haywood. That it was later revealed by many sources that Sting's son, Stephen Borden, is now training to be a pro wrestler. This is a very interesting thing. We know that they said they didn't want nothing to do with it, but it seems like now they want to. Now he wants to. So kind of interesting to hear that. And then finally, as you know, Sareee made her presence known in MARIGOLD. Apparently, she is telling everybody that she is going to be the ace of MARIGOLD. But however, the current roster are not having it. They're not happy with this whole thing. Certain people were like, okay, this is what somebody said. Few said. We have Natsumi Shizuki. She says, "You want to become the ace. There are already plenty of candidates for the ace. As promised, defeat them all, then tell them. With such cool main event attractive, there is no one in MARIGOLD who wouldn't be inspired, right?" Then Mirai said this: "MARIGOLD isn't about Julia and Utami Ayashida. Savior, you've got to be kidding me." Ouch. Then Mai Sakurai actually put out, "I'm not convinced at all. I have no intentions of letting you take over MARIGOLD like this. I'm going to get back at you for Julia. I won't let you become an ace. I'll do everything I can to stop it. Don't underestimate me." And then finally, Chika Goto goes out. Savior, ace leading a new promotion. All these cool words line up, but nice to meet you, Sareee. It's Chika Goto, or Go Chika. Pleased to meet your acquaintance. So apparently, now that Sareee is making this announcement, well, we'll see how that goes. I'm looking forward to see how they're going to stop her. So she may have to go through everyone. So I think that's pretty much it what we have for our news updates and reviews. It's time to call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we do have TNA, Ring of Honor, and hopefully I can try to do other reviews before that, but we'll see how that goes. But this is the plan, so we'll see. Until then, that's all we have. But I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.